afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast Addendum with me looking at more topics, things to improve in community. It's sort of a nice little way of just making lots of videos, but also just having something to talk about, creating these topics for discussion, which I suppose is always fun for people. So, today's topic, what could that be? Well, that's improving the commander system. Essentially, so far, I had sort of essentially two commander systems. We have the Communist one system, where there's like just overall for each faction, 3 fixed doctrines with sort of branches, but we could just get everything. And then we still have Communist 2s, where you got a lot more commanders, but there's overall a few abilities, and they're all a lot more linear. And both sides, have their strengths and advantages. Communist 2 system allows, just again for more simplified systems, more easily flexible. You can sort of change them more easily, connect to more stuff with them. Whereas the Communist 1 were a lot more, inflexible. A lot harder, I think, just to make changes to, like, something need to be done. Didn't really as easily say open up for additional content. But again, at the same time, they had more options. There was sort of more gameplay. There was more thought to them. Again, the sort of less linear aspect to them, I think, gave them, at the same time, their strengths and advantages as well. They also had some cool stuff like, units would change, at least for the Panzer Elite was also the only fact, depending on which, doctrine you'd chosen. So there were some things that which obviously the Communist 1 doctrines had, much stronger elements to them, just and so had more fun elements about. But, the question is really which one is better. In some ways, I don't think either's better, and I think overall still it's, a system that could easily be improved upon and done more with. One option basically is, try and create, something more of a synergy or hybrid between the two. In a sense, like, you still get choices in choosing abilities, but whereas in Communist 1, you can just somehow eventually just unlock everything, meaning essentially, long term, the choices don't matter that much. You could sort of hear about sort of just, either or situation, like, you sort of level up, and then you sort of forced to choose between, like, 2 versions of, say, the same ability. So that way, for example, let's use this one as an example, Jaeger Light Infantry upgrade, like, once you say got the command point for this, rather than just having Jaeger Light Infantry upgrade, instead it would be like a choice between either the Jaeger Light Infantry upgrade and maybe some kind of assault upgrade for infantry with MP40s, grenades and whatnot. So there, for example, you would then be forced to choose, and of course it wouldn't be every ability, but there'd be a few abilities. It could also be the Jaeger Command Squad, maybe it's a Jaeger Command Squad, maybe it's a Stormtrooper Squad, or it's something else entirely. So that way, you could sort of create something that still has some, flexibility in terms of, being fixed and changed, and you can sort of more easily make commander stuff with it without having to necessarily, design the whole branching tree, but at the same time, it implements still some of, for example, the choices there were in Communist 1. But at the same time, unlike Communist 1, you're just, eventually just going to unlock everything. Here, you actually have to make decisions. I know some people hate having to make decisions. I know some people hate to lose out because, again, they have to have everything. And honestly, those people, I think, the ones you have to be careful about because, again, greedy people just, they're going to keep asking for everything eventually. And, again, they're not necessarily the best game designers because, again, they lack focus. So, my initial reaction also is just don't listen to those people. That's a rule of thumb because, again, you can't ever have everything. That's just bad. That's just terrible design. It's also stuff for, like, the Blitzkrieg model. Northern Party just doesn't interest me because they just gotta have everything. Like, there's just no focus. And, again, without focus, you just lose out on a lot there. Again, you have to accept some losses, some, sacrifices to your decisions. And in that regard, again, that way could, be a sort of way, again, giving more agency to the player, having some of that, but at the same time, wanting sort of whole branching thing, and certainly also implementing actual choices with actual decisions. Plus, that way, you could even sort of have the situation where 2 players choose the same doctrines, but even then, they could then sort of play the doctrines differently. So that way, you could sort of do some cool stuff. That's one way of doing it. Again, another one would be much more depend on how they sort of do factual systems, like they sort of do more sort of custom multiple companies. Then you could have the doctrines sort of rather represent sort of smaller support companies with sort of more unique abilities and units, and sort of just more fill into those roles, more attachable stuff. As an example, in which case you sort of just change it up, maybe just be like, for example, the German army, it may be like a tank destroyer battalion with a few armored reconnaissance troops or something else. That was sort of drawing more on history and sort of up there. That mean, of course, less, some of the more unique abilities like ambush training and all that. Just more artillery call-ins and other things. Calling needs to be sort of more, well, it would be a lot more call-in focused, which I suppose in some ways wouldn't be nearly as interesting. And that's essentially just its weakness. It'd just be so heavily call-in focused, it wouldn't be particularly fun. So that's why I'm probably thinking more about the first option, which again is just, a variant on this system. Again, but with sort of choices sort of more leveled into it, because I think that's probably sort of one of the issues for a lot of people. There's just no real choices made. Again, just unlock the abilities and that's it. And at some point, that's just not very interesting. So again, I probably just something again be like this, but with choices. And again, these are permanent choices. You can't fix them back. Again, you have to accept that. All right, I chose this, and I can't get the other. And again, we also then choose to ignore the people who complain, but I want both. Shut up, Jeremy. No one likes you. You're greedy. We don't like greedy people because they're greedy and they have no concept of, well, limitations. So that was sort of, be my thought. There's something you could do something with the T-35s. Again, one could be, T-35 gets unlocked. Another could be the KV-85, which would then be more expensive, slower and all that. Or it could be something else entirely. We can just unlock variants of the same tanks. For example, there could be an early model IS-2 or a late model IS-2. It could be a veteran IS-2, or it could be a guards IS-2. So you could do a lot of cool stuff that way. Just sort of creating smaller variants. Again, just giving players more choice, because I think that's sort of one of the things that occasionally we've gone. It's just players like having choices. Even in these things, just giving players a few more choices can go a long way towards. And again, that's also why I kind of like this one, because you do have some choices in what commanders you want, but. Like at the same time, then on the sort of more direct commander level, it does feel like some choices are lacking. So that would probably be my suggestion there for sort of improving. But again, honestly, the commander system, there's like so many ways you can just do it in. Honestly, like this is just one probably out of so many, because it's sort of an overlaying system. So you can easily change up a ton of things about it. So I mean, I could easily make a lot of videos just how many versions I could see of this system. And again, some of them would be dependent on then how I do the armies themselves. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this little video. Hope you enjoyed my little rambling on about commanders, how to possibly improve them, because again, this is far from a definite topic. If you didn't, subscribe, like, share, comment on it. Help out for your own sort of thoughts on how to do commanders in Company Heroes 3. And of course, do something a bit more intelligent. Just going, I like them in Companies 1. They should totally be in Companies 1. I mean, try and put some thought into it. So this is Imperial signing off. Thank you all for joining in. You're a wonderful audience, and see you all another time for another video. Cheers.